The following presentation is part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network.
What is going on, Bombad fam? It's your boy, Scotty Jero. Super excited to be here today. We have a fantastic show going on right now. Cannot wait to get into it all the way. So before we do that, let's get our wonderful plugs in. I am Scotty Jero. We are part of the Beyond the Blast Doors network, as you can see up there, and I can do the weatherman thing. Gerry can't. So I'm very, very happy to say that right now we've got a bunch of great things going on the network. In particular, we've got 5 live shows, 5 nights a week. Monday, Holla Chronicles, all things collecting and gaming. Collecting and gaming. What? Collecting and collecting and I guess you could say merchandise. Go to them. Tuesday, you've got Around the Galaxy podcast with Pete Fletzer, a one-on-one interview show. It feels a lot like Larry King. Hey, we'll get to that later. Beyond the Blast Doors Live, which I am a part of with David and Arzu. We cover all things news. Thursday, Bombadcast and something else. Nah, just Bombadcast. But we are something else here. And of course, Friday, our one-to-one call-in show, which is called Force Connect. So if you are a Star Wars fan, you want your voice heard, you can always join them there. You'll be on the stream just like I am right now, and it is so fantastic. So you can always do that. And if you really like us, support us at patreon.com, okay? Patreon.com/Beyond the Blast Doors. If you want to, you can follow us on Twitter as well. And please, by all means, I think it is time to bring in our wonderful co-host, Gerry, the Canon Junkie Cable. Gerry, how are we doing today, bud?
Hey, what's up, Bombad fam? How we doing, Scotty?
I'm doing great, dude. I'm doing great.
Oh, my goodness. I cannot believe what we've got going tonight. It is just
I'm very excited.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. This all happened almost on a lark, but we won't get too into it yet. But, man, it is great to be here with you, my friend, on a lovely Bombad Thursday.
Oh, of course.
Where our lovely audience can be a part of the Bombad here live in the live chat. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you so much. We love you. My parents are watching this show, and so I want to say to them, I'm going to be up for a while, so just don't worry about me, okay? Yeah. So anyway.
That's excellent. Well, Gerry, is it time? Do you want to bring on our guest, or would you want to wait a second and do your advertisement first?
Well, I would love to bring him in because I we love our sponsors here on the Bombadcast, and I want him to be a part of that. So, Scotty, you know what? I'm just going to bring him in. Our lovely new friend of the Bombadcast here, Mr. Scott Stenholm, who is a producer for the lovely Jim Henson show, Earth to Ned on Disney Plus. Let's bring him in.
Scott, what's going on, dude?
Hello, fellas. How's it going?
Doing great, man. Look,
fantastic.
We've gotten to know each other very quickly before this even began, and I don't know. I feel like I got a new friend in this. Scott, tell us all about yourself, and our guest our listeners all about yourself too.
Oh, no one wants to hear that. I've been the short of it is I've been working in Hollywood for over 15 years, and but in terms of like producing, I've been a producer for mostly television series for about 10 years. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So he's a real worker in the great industry of Hollywood, and I don't know. The things you've done, man, at least to me, are pretty tremendous stuff. And
not just to you, Scott. I mean, to me as well. It's just I messaged you on a lark because I tweeted about Earth to Ned, actually, and you liked it, and I just was like, I'll shoot my shot and stuff just to see, hey, you want to come on and talk about it and stuff. And seriously, man, you have done some killer stuff for real.
Oh.
And so.
Thank you.
Seriously.
That's nice. Yeah. I mean, it's I'm never good with that sort of thing because the nature of the business, and especially when you're working on a series or a show, is like it's such a team thing, you know.
Oh yeah.
And so man, you know, like I know people will say, "Oh gosh, you know, that's really cool that you did that or whatever." I'm like, "Got it," but it wouldn't have happened if like the writing wasn't freaking amazing or like my executive producer wasn't like cool as hell. And so yeah, it definitely takes. You have to have lots of different ingredients to make something taste good.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like, that's the thing. Earth to Ned within itself, for anyone that doesn't know, there's really no really good way to summarize it besides this otherworldly.
I could do it. I could
yeah. Let's let the professional do it.
Because when I was doing pre-interviews with all the the guests before they come on, which is something that we do, and usually you do on a talk show, you do a pre-interview with the guests, and I would say it is a talk show that, well, first of all, it's hosted by a 7-foot animatronic alien puppet named Ned, who goes from planet to planet with his considerably shorter sidekick Cornelius, destroying or taking over planets. But when they were doing their reconnaissance on Earth, they fell in love with our culture and our way of life. And so, what better way to get closer to that way of life than to tap into Earth's most precious resource, which is our celebrities. And so they created a talk show, and they're in sparing Earth for the time being.
Yeah, for the time being, because every episode ends on a remark of, I haven't done it yet. We're getting there. Things got in the way. So it makes it, I don't know. It's so nice.
It's crazy how much of it is a talk show, but there is like a storyline throughout.
Yeah, a lot of people on Twitter were talking about the cliffhanger. Like we have a cliffhanger in the last show.
Oh.
So on the 20th episode, if you watch, there's the cliffhanger where Ned's father, the Admiral, is coming to Earth, and we have like these shots of like people outside of the like on Earth being like, what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
And Betty's like, oh, you're in so much trouble, and then the show ends.
Oh my gosh,
I love that.
Oh man, see, that's the thing is it's so it's a brilliant idea for a show, especially from the Jim Henson Company.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Just kind of they've done stuff like that. I think in the past there was like a show they did for a small little bit of time that I don't think anyone remembers on like TGIF for like maybe one season, a few episodes. It was a family where most of them were aliens, and the mom was like was not an alien or something, and they were like just on Earth. I can't remember the name of it.
Okay.
But and maybe that's the Mandela effect, and that didn't really exist, and I just dreamed about it or something. I have no clue. But I love this concept. It's just so much fun, and so I'm so glad that you were able to join us tonight to talk about, because I mean, Jim Henson, we are a Star Wars show, but we were talking before, like we kind of touch a little bit of everything in pop culture, because Star Wars kind of touches everything in pop culture to an extent afterwards. But even before it, everything, just like Jim Henson kind of is like a Star Wars adjacent kind of a thing, when you have Frank and
absolutely.
And
it's the Disney universe, and, and I became, we did, and obviously, we did a Star Wars themed episode, which was one of my favorites. And I was very much jonesing to do that episode. And then we had we had one of our guests, Gina Carano, who was not on the Star Wars episode. She was on the sports episode, but we touched on it again. And there are references to Star Wars, later on in the show. So
it's great because, Scott had told us privately what he used to hype himself up on doing these episodes. And I really want to get into the nitty gritty of that, because it's about me. And obviously I'm the most important one. I'm on the screen right now. But no, the thing is, when you do a show, okay, obviously, and you can do a Star Wars segment or a Star Wars point, I mean, there's a lot of approval that has to go into that, I'd imagine. So you're I mean, we've seen Family Guy do it. The Simpsons have done it. Other huge places take that pop culture and insert it in. And Star Wars is just the center of it. And I want to know about this story because apparently our new friend Scott here actually discovered a very infamous reaction video. So I'm going to get that pulled up. But tell us how you found that. How did that even come into your existence, this video?
When I was researching for Billy D. Williams to come on the show, because this was when we were doing in pre-production and production, and ahead of him coming on was before Rise of Skywalker, and so I watched that video so many times because I watched tons of stuff, and part of my job on every show that I've worked on is research, and you kind of you have to look at everything because you don't really know, and you don't know what gem you're gonna get. But I watched that. I remember, thinking one, it's in Chicago, which made me happy, and two, it was kind of like the biggest thing that he had done. Billy D. Williams had done ahead of.
That is
the Rise of Skywalker premiere, and so I watched it, but it was just so, your reaction to it was just so genuine, and so you got me excited for it. And the music is what kills me. I'm such a movie score fan. And just listening to the music and the trailer, that's what got me. And then so I kind of was living through you vicariously, and it also pumped me up in terms of, because I am a Star Wars fan, but I will admit I am a little bit of a Johnny Come Lately fan.
Yeah.
And I've had influence
still a
from
fan.
People that I dated that have gotten me onto it, or dating that have gotten me onto it, and more. And I'm a massive Mandalorian fan, but I do this with almost everything that I produce. Is I want the passion to be able to come out in whatever I'm producing, and so I want myself to get excited about it. And so when I watched that many, many times because it kind of got me pumped up. And I watched it the morning that we shot BD-8 and Billy D. Williams.
Oh my
God,
gosh.
that's tremendous. See, the thing is,
well, you have Scotty reacting to it like that. That's got to, because we're right here. I think it's about to show Billy D. Right?
Yeah, it's right.
Like
I think it's in just a second, actually.
Those are actually my shoulders. I always joke. Those are my shoulders right in front of Scotty there. So I have famous shoulders. I'm always like this. It's like the SpongeBob Krusty Krab commercial. Like there I am, right there.
Look, here's the Billy D shot where I freak out because people don't realize this. And you look, literally, my students at the school I teach at, they all give me all kinds of hell because they're like, "Why were you crying, Mr. Jarrow?" And I'm like, "Look, you got to realize this. There is something so incredible about this because we didn't know the title. We didn't know the title of the movie. We didn't know pretty much any of the plot. We didn't know if certain people would be in it. There was just so much up in the air. And so when it came out, you're in a room full of 60,000 other people, and they are just all like emotionally connected to this thing. And the part that makes me, this is it. You're right. And Scott, that's so right. This is it.
Like Scott was talking about, add the music in too. The music of that. They take the music of John Williams and dial up the emotion to like 100. And it's insanity. Yeah. Like there was no way to not. I was crying too, but it's like there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
I've listened to like different versions of that score, like either that has been personally done or that has been done by Lucasfilm, and it's just so beautiful. And I am a huge fan of like a series, like whether it be Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, or Star Wars, where they have like the original like theme song, from the early movies, and then they dramatize it or they change it in a way that reflects the meaning of it later on. Like, the later, if it's the last movie for like Rise of Skywalker, the trailer, the music is so unbelievably moving that you're like, because it really strikes what the tone that they were trying to convey, and that alone, just got me so pumped up.
Oh, I completely.
And I have to tell you that when I was, because I was dealing with the Lucasfilms reps during that day a lot when we were like doing all the setup for BB-8, and I told him, like, we were just chatting. I said, I watched that video in Chicago like a bunch of times. It's just getting me so excited. I'm so excited for the movie and all that. And he's like, oh yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Oh. That's always what I've been wondering. Have other people seen it besides just the common Star Wars fan? But I mean, there was so much.
And the occasional troll who wants to talk about us living in our mom's basements.
Yes.
Like, do not go into the comment sections of
the comments are brutal.
I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah.
We learned that real quick, but
So, Scott, I don't know. You're obviously working on Earth and Ed. You got to have some sort of love for Star Wars. So, The Mandalorian, is that kind of what brought you back? Be honest, because I think it brought a lot of people back, and the new movies, of course.
Well, I would say that the newer movies brought me back. But I love Rogue One. I just thought it was its own was just a standalone amazing film.
Yes.
I don't know. Am I allowed to say I didn't like the last one?
No, you can.
You can. Yeah, we're all opinions are welcome here.
Yes,
yeah,
I love Disney and I love the Lucasfilms and I love that universe and I love J.J. Abrams, but I don't know what happened in that last one.
It honestly wasn't everyone's favorite. Well, okay, so your favorite of the trilogy, then? What would you say?
Oh well, the first. Oh, you mean the original trilogy?
Well, of the sequel trilogy, actually.
Yeah, probably the first one because it was the meaning behind it because it was so built up, and that's definitely yeah. And it was so new and fresh, and there were these new characters meeting with the old, and it was done right. So yeah, I like that.
I completely get it. It brought the magic back. That was like even me and Scotty are like we're children of the prequels and stuff, but it had been like a while since those came out, and it was kind of like Clone Wars was on TV, but then now it's like this hype like we never thought would happen. We thought the last movie came out in 2005,
and it's been an embarrassment of riches, because not only did
you're not kidding.
But then it's like you get these series.
Oh yeah,
and the series. I mean, the stuff that's coming up, but just the Mandalorian alone, and now the Bombadcast series, and it is just. I mean, and the Mandalorian is so freaking good. It is just unbelievable. I'm so proud to work on a show that's on the same platform. But
isn't that crazy?
And everybody who I know who works on that show is rightfully very proud of what they do.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad that a Star Wars series has gotten critical acclaim in the way that it has, like the Golden Globes, the Emmys, I think that we need to see more of that because there are a lot of films that are fantasy films or sci-fi films that often get overlooked by whether it be the television or film academies, and I think that's an injustice.
Oh, I completely agree. Like the Mandalorian in particular, what they did with the LED panel technology on the walls and stuff, that is just insanity. Like it's absolutely mind blowing. And you're right. Never got acknowledged by any awards and anything for probably since
it really
77.
Didn't.
No,
that was watching the gallery episodes when that episode came up, and they're talking about how they figured out a way to mimic parallax, get over the parallax and stuff. When the camera moves, it looks weird when you're on set a little bit, but when you're on camera, it's like that blew my mind. And I try to explain that to people, and I feel like a crazy person sweating on them because they're like, I don't get what you're talking about, parallax. You just don't get how amazing that is.
Yeah, and having some insight into that world, I definitely even for Ned, I can't tell you how many people have said, so you CGI him in later, or are they talking to somebody in a green screen? How about no, that's him.
He's there.
Absolutely.
That's full blown. There's 3 people under there and 2 people off stage.
Yeah. Which is the most mind-blowing thing to me, honestly, about when watching the first couple episodes of how, because you are so programmed, but it is Jim Henson, and I was like, I haven't. Yeah. I mean, the Muppets are the Muppets. They're classic. They're the same today, yesterday, and forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But to have Jim Henson always does such amazing creature work, and that's what I've really been missing in my life for the last however long since they've done a creature show like that.
Well,
it is mind-blowing the way his face moves.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they did some amazing work on Dark Crystal.
That you talk about an injustice that show didn't get a second season. Honestly, I was so enthralled. Frankly.
Yeah. I can't talk about that, but
I'm not going to say. I don't say anything.
Yeah, I wish it would. But it's deserving of it. But anyway, it is. It is. I mean, this is the most elaborate puppet I believe that Jim Henson's ever created.
Wow!
I mean, there was dozens of motors in his head, and we would have 2 heads, like on one off, like near the voice actor. So we'd pick it up, bring it over in case we needed it, in case it broke down. And we could just switch it out. And, you have 2 Corneliuses. And one that we used for field shoots and one that was on stage. And, so they have to look pretty dang similar. Like they have to and, we're talking about lighting and the color and everything. And ahead of us shooting, the producers and the writers, we went to the Creature Shop, we shot in the Jim Henson Studios in Hollywood, and the Creature Shop is in Burbank. And, there's just all this Labyrinth stuff in there and Sesame Street stuff and, the Muppets and there's just all this stuff in there. And I mean, it is a workshop. It's not like a museum, but it's like a museum. Yeah. And you're not allowed to, and even as producers, we weren't allowed to take any pictures. We weren't allowed to have our phones out.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, there was stuff in there that I was like, oh my God, that's the thing from the Labyrinth right there, and it was, but what they do is just nuts. It is just nuts. And what they did for this was incredibly nuts. And I'll tell you a kind of a funny story that really describes how realistic Ned is.
Okay.
Especially Ned is. We worked at long hours, and I kind of joked with the writers, the producers after we wrapped. There were days that were hell, but it was never hell. It was such an amazing experience, and I loved every second of it. But it was tiring because it was a you're not shooting like a normal television show.
Yeah.
And so it was a long day. I was pretty tired. I think I'd gotten maybe 2 hours of sleep the night before because I was up writing blue cards, which is like questions for the guests. And, just whatever. And we were there late and got up early, because we were oftentimes briefing the voice actors at 5:30 in the morning. And it was towards the end of the day, and I went up to give Paul Rugg, who is the actor who voices Ned, who is off to the side, off stage. I needed to give him a note or tell him something. And so I walked on stage, and I walked up the stairs and walked onto the platform of the stage and past the cameras and next to a guest who I think was Jennifer Goodwin. And I started talking to the puppet. and so he's 20 feet away with the person I'm supposed to be talking to. I'm supposed to be talking to Ned, not Ned, the actor who's playing Ned, who's voicing him with his hand in a sock puppet, doing the mouth. And I'm like, okay, so that was good. I just think that one thing that we don't want to forget in the next segment is we got to touch on this. And Jennifer Goodwin, who was the sweetest person in the world, was like, what's happening here? And I mean, there are people in there, but it was like I was talking to the head, and like it was very weird. And I was just exhausted, and like finally, I think it was the woman who did our props was like, Scott. I was like, oh yeah. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. I walked over to Paul. Oh man, it was like, yeah, it's been a long day.
It feels so real, though. I mean, when you watch it, you think he's a real. You really like when you watch it. I'm convinced it's a real thing, and like I don't know. I've been enamored by puppets. Obviously, we watched Star Wars. Yoda's a puppet. I mean, a lot of the early work for Jar Jar was puppetry.
Sorry.
Exactly.
I had to. Yeah,
so I didn't mean to ruin that for anyone. But like, you look at this thing, and you're like, this is just an insane, intricate, just complex. It's hard to suspend your disbelief there, and I'd imagine it's exactly what happened to you, Scott.
Yeah, and it was so good because the fact that it was pulled off so well is a testament to the people in the creature shop who made it, the designers of it, the artists who made it happen, the tech people who kept it up, but also the puppeteers are just the talent of the puppeteers is just mind-blowing. I mean, I had respect for them before, but like it was nothing compared to what I have now because there are 3 people underneath Ned, and one is in the body, moving the body. Then there's 2 people moving the hands because he's got 4 arms and hands.
Yeah,
and then there's another guy who's off stage next to Paul, or who voices Ned, who is doing the head motion, like the scales on top and the eyes and whatnot. And then you have Ned, who's Paul, who has his hand, like I said, which is basically looks like a sock bucket, and he's doing the mouth. And you see, as I'm talking right now, I'm doing that because my central nervous system and like my brain is connected to my spinal cord and all that, and it knows to do this.
Of course.
Ned would act like I am right now, but it was 6 people or like 5 people that were doing that.
Right.
I mean, I don't understand how that's possible,
They are his central nervous system. It is
unbelievable. They would anticipate that he was going to be the actor was going to be sarcastic in a moment, and then the voice and the head and the mannerisms would all match, and it would happen in real time, and it wasn't scripted often, and it was truly amazing, and I'm just in awe of it, really.
See, that's wild coming from where you have worked previously too, only because one thing you can bring up before we kind of deep dive and look at some behind the scene pictures, some exclusives, if you will. Our guest, Scott, actually was a producer for 3 seasons on Larry King's Hulu show, right? Am I correct?
I was both of them. I not so much, but I did his political show called Politicking. And stuff for that. Produced and wrote some stuff for that. But mostly I was one of the 3 editorial producers, which is basically we were like a producer is assigned an episode, and that full episode, that producer has autonomy over like from conception, sometimes booking the guests, all the way to editing it and publicizing it. So that I was for 3 seasons.
That's just incredible, and unfortunately with his passing recently, a lot of things have shown up with like other talk show hosts doing like tributes to Larry King. And I don't know, can you tell us more about him as a person? Because he just seems so real and so genuine that I'd imagine it really was him. And most people say he was just 100% himself all the time. And he was one of the few people that would like get these insane interviews and like just get into it. Like he gave people almost like a security blanket of sorts. Just like we can talk. Like I'm here for you. Did he give you that same treatment, Scott? Oh God, yes. I mean, I have a couple good stories with Larry that I should share, but that will kind of like sum up who he was. But I was coming off of a show where the boss that I had in the previous show was not very nice. And I was kind of down about things, and I got that, and I had a 2-week like contract or whatever to work just writing stuff for them. And then the executive producer Jason like let me produce an episode, and
And I remember my first interaction with Larry was I had to go wake him up in his office.
Oh wow!
And he was taking a nap. It was a long day, and I had to go in and be like, "Excuse me, Mr. King." And I'm like, "How do you wake up a legend? How do you do this?" And I'm like, and he opens his eyes and goes, "Who are you?" And I'm like, I'm Scott. I'm producing today's episode, and I just got to brief you about some stuff and whatever." And he was like, "Relax, this is gonna be easy." And like it was literally like that for the next 3 years,
Dude.
Yeah,
he was such a nice guy.
Incredible.
And he, I mean, I'll give you a good story that this one story that really kind of sums up what it was like working for him and with him, what he was like and all about, and why he was so successful. I had gotten really into NASA and space in recent years, and especially like the discovery of exoplanets.
Okay.
And so I ended up telling my executive producer, I want to do some stuff with people at NASA. Let's see what we can do. And he's like, yeah, go for it. And so I did one episode where a couple guys from NASA, scientists, came in and talked about like their discovery, like their search for life. And then because of my contacts over there, I one day was like, why, Scott Kelly, astronaut Scott Kelly's up there doing a year in space. I wonder if we could talk to him while he's up there. And so I looked into it, and it took a long time, but I got NASA to agree to do an episode, and but unlike a normal show, we only had 10 minutes because there's satellites and
of course
with like Mission Control in Houston, stuff like that, and they got shit to do, and so and so I was very. I was always good. And when we shot that episode, we did it very early in the morning, but 2 days earlier, I had just produced Morrissey's first TV interview, like long form TV interview in a decade.
God, that's crazy.
And he also wanted to do a performance at, and it was and we didn't have the space for that. So we had to find a venue to do it, which means
way.
Like all this stuff. Wow. And it was the most daunting thing. It ended up being an insane, great interview. But then I was like, oh yeah, I got to do an interview in space in a couple days. Oh, crap. and that's what it was like working there. It was great because it was like always something different, So we did this thing, and I had become a massive, and I put a lot of time and energy into getting this booked and making this happen. And we only had a 10-minute window because the satellite, would go out of range or whatever, or they would go out of range or something. And so there was no stopping. There was no going back and like, oh, let's ask that again, we couldn't go 10 seconds over time.
Yeah.
And so that morning I said to Larry, look, I know you like to kind of riff and like kind of do your own thing sometimes. Because for the most part, he very much like believed in us and trusted us when we would give him questions to ask, because he didn't like doing research. He liked to go in as if like he was somebody in Middle America or wherever who wasn't really certain of whoever the guest was, and ask questions from that perspective.
Oh, wow.
But in my head, I was thinking like, okay, I've really put a lot of time and energy into this. We only have 10 minutes to talk to him. This guy's in space. There's so many like important questions that I want to ask. Like he's floating up there. Let's do this. Okay. There's no time for like random questions that you may, ask Amber Rose. So, so I was like, Larry, I need you to stick to these 10 questions and these 10 questions only.
Yeah.
And because usually we would highlight, like the ones we really wanted to touch. I highlighted all 10. Like, this is it. I love you. You're the man, but like, you need to.
What I gotta do.
And he goes, and he was like, okay. And then like, I checked in with him like 30 seconds before we were going to go. And we're like, I got a headphone on, like talking to Mission Control in Houston, and he goes, and then I go, Larry, we good? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I think I'm going to ask a couple of my own too. And I'm like, no. So I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, cold sweat hits me.
Yep.
As I drink my Larry King now.
Oh,
my
nice.
gosh.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
And I was like, oh, no. And then what he ended up doing was he asked every single one of my questions. And then he allowed enough time for his at the end.
Wow.
And I had all these science questions. I had all these questions about, space exploration and like, just like, it was good stuff, but it was that he said, now, what do you guys do for fun up there? How do you relax? And I was like, okay. And in the moment, I'm like, all right, well, we got time, fine. And it ended up being maybe the best moment of the.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then they asked, and so Scott Kelly responded, and he was kind of taken aback. He was kind of like, because everything else was like serious science questions, and he goes, my fellow, American astronaut, we've been introducing our colleague, our Japanese colleague, to Breaking Bad. We've been watching a lot of seasons of Breaking Bad, it humanized them.
Yeah, instantly.
Yeah,
because this guy was floating in space, and Larry knew to ask that question. Because then it makes people who are watching that be like, you know what, that is attainable.
Yeah.
Right.
And even if like one kid, and you're a science teacher, like if there's one kid who watches that and goes, oh, like I watch Breaking Bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it's like, oh, maybe I could be an astronaut. It doesn't make them seem like pardon the expression, otherworldly.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And then after when we were done, he I didn't say anything, and he didn't, and he didn't. He was there we were doing another segment with some NASA people after that in studio, and then when we were done, he just smiled at me before he left, and he said that was great what you did today, like getting all that. That was a lot of fun, and you should pride yourself. And then he just walked out. He didn't give me any crap. He didn't say, "Oh, see, I told you," or whatever. And I forgot.
Class act, man.
I'm going to ask a couple questions. He goes, "I've been doing this a long time," and I was like, "Oh my God!" But it was that's what it was like, So
I love that. Because you watch this guy growing up, and he just has this aura to him, and he's just so himself, and it's so good to hear that he really was himself all the way for his entire career.
I was like you do. He just kind of is an entity that existed, right? Like I was I still am a big Ghostbusters fan. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of my introduction, and just that's how I knew who he was. Is he's got that scene in Ghostbusters.
I think he's been in more movies than Tom Hanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was in the B movie.
He was willing to do that kind of stuff and just be himself. Is just It's amazing.
He never claimed to be a journalist, but he had taped something right before he passed that I think CBS Sunday Morning, like when they did their tribute, they aired part of it, and it was the first time that I kind of cried after he passed, where they asked him, like, what do you want your legacy to be? And he said, I'm paraphrasing, that he informed and he entertained and he loved every second. And that's
amazing.
It was great. And
that's beautiful.
It is really hard in Hollywood sometimes when you have, because there are a lot of big egos and there are a lot of people who, just like any tough industry, can be kind of out for themselves, or it's a very competitive industry. Yeah. And it has somebody who, even subconsciously having somebody like that, who wasn't arrogant, wasn't egotistical, wasn't above it ever. And the thing is that it really reminded, and I didn't, because he was so such a good guy, and he wasn't above it all. I kind of forgot how big he was.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
And I literally only had one incident where when I was working with him that really gave me an idea of how big he was. And if we've got time, I'll tell you. It's a real quick story.
No, please.
Absolutely.
I was I was producing Matthew McConaughey was coming on the show for Interstellar, and we and Christopher Nolan had insisted that we go see it. Like sometimes, when they'll send a screener or whatever.
Yeah.
And as we know, especially recently, he wants you to see it on the big screen. So
right.
So he insisted that we go, and we went to a cast screening at the Man's Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
And so Larry had to go too, and before we were able to interview Matthew McConaughey for it, and so I get there. And after work, and Larry's going to come later, but I get there just to make sure everything's good to go and whatever. And I knew it was going to be a packed house, whatever. There was also a Justin Bieber concert happening for Jimmy Kimmel Live on the street. So Hollywood Boulevard is blocked off, and I knew somebody at Kimmel, like I know people at Kimmel, and I at first I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
This is way too worse for a normal Tuesday. And so I texted my buddy, and he's like, are you joking me? Like, Bieber's performing. And I'm like, so a place that was already touristy, now it's like literally every tourist in like west of the Mississippi is probably there. And it's just packed with people. And I've got to get Larry King from his car 2 blocks away. Like his driver's been dropping off. And I have to get Larry King from there to the Man's Chinese Theater in time for this screening. And I walk up to the publicist, like there's like a publicist table, like checking people in. And I was like, they're like, hi, who are you here with? I'm like, Larry King now. And they're like, oh, great. Is he here? And I go, no, but we didn't know this was going on. How do you expect me to get him through this? Because like I knew he was a star because Oprah made a comment once on our show, like I went to Africa once, thought I was pretty famous, and I was in a remote village, and they ran up to me and said, "Are you an American?" And she said yes, and they go, "Do you know Larry King?"
Wow!
And because he was global, and and so I had kind of forgotten like how big he was until I had to walk him down Hollywood Boulevard 2 blocks. And it would have, on a normal night, would have taken 5 minutes, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And it took about an hour and 5 minutes.
Was he taking pictures and everything? Was he being,
Oh yeah. And the thing is, like, he was trying to get,
what a sweetheart.
He was trying to get moving, but
Sure.
like, he knew he didn't get there. But at the same time, like, he is not a snobby person when it comes to that kind of thing.
Wow.
And he was incredibly but I mean, we're talking about like so many people, and not just LA people, because LA people typically are like, okay, we know not to go up to people.
Sure.
Because it's not
right.
A lot of people are in the industry, or it's just you see these people in line at Starbucks. So, but this is people who are like, this may be the only celebrity I see on my trip, and so, and it was a celebrity that everybody knew, even if the kids didn't know it, their parents did, and everybody went up to him.
No way.
And he's also the kind of celebrity that people feel like they really know because they went through things with him.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I remember being a kid and faking sick so I could go home and watch the OJ verdict and then watch Larry King talk.
Exactly. That was his biggest coverage. I remember the Michael Jackson death. And there was so much stuff. Was just so much stuff that he helped other people understand. And, when you get explained something by an adult or even is someone that you just respect, you take their word for everything. And Larry King was just that for some people. Obviously, all 3 of us maybe felt that same way at some point. You obviously work with the man, so you had to feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, he really genuinely wanted to know about it. He really cared. He wanted to know everyone's story. And what amazed me and what made me really, truly respect him is if Anthony Hopkins was sitting in front of him, he was the same way if he was talking to like a new artist.
Wow.
Like he genuinely cared to know, and he just wanted to know about people. Like he has said, like, you know, I want to know why a bus driver drives a bus and what is his day like, and like, you know,
it's amazing.
So, and that innate curiosity then could also be comical or frustrating at times, because when we finally got into the Interstellar screening, we ended up sitting next to a reporter from Rolling Stone, and then who I knew, and a reporter from Us Weekly. And something that people may not know about Larry is that he, in movies, he has no trouble talking during movies. Like,
I love this so much.
If we go to screenings with him, like, you know, on a fairly regular basis, and like if he got a phone call, he'd answer it. He'd answer it, you know, and he would talk like what he think is quietly, like, yeah, I'm at the Interstellar.
Oh, no way.
But that movie is not like, I'm a big space nerd, and a lot of it was going over my head in the moment. Like,
yeah.
To watch a few times.
It takes a couple, yeah.
But for him, he just would be like, so I don't understand. How do they? Do they eat up there? Like, what time are we in right now? You know? And I was like, oh my god. What there you got?
Oh, I love it so
like,
much.
This is gonna be an Us Weekly. This is gonna be a Rolling Stone. I know it. But it was, you know, he was just. It was so hard to not love the guy.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, working with Ned, was it the same way?
Yeah, well, in many ways,
it's a little bit of a diva.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, most of the hosts that I've worked with are all great, and Ned, the voice actor who plays Ned is Ned and Cornelius and Betty. They are just unbelievable talents. Like, it is hard to believe, especially because you interact with them when they're not in their character, and you're like, yeah, this isn't like they're playing themselves.
No,
you know?
Well,
now, Scott,
if I may, sorry, Scott, if I may, like, so, because a lot of people are Jim Henson fans, like when they're young, like it's a very like, you know, tons of people are just like, we love these characters and stuff. So it's always seemed to me that the Jim Henson Company, like Frank and Jason, like all those guys, are just seem like they would be so approachable and just so like down to earth. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of how it is too? Because it just seems like they're just like, we're just loving what we're doing, like having fun. I love the cut scenes or the behind the scenes where they're just like talking with the Muppets like they're normal people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Disney Insider. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that I agree. And you know, I mean, everybody I worked with, it was some of the best people I've ever worked with, and right. It was also a different kind of thing that I've ever done before, and I learned a lot from it, and it made me feel like I had that gear, which I was worried that I didn't. But I don't think it would have been as easy and as fun and as rewarding if it wasn't with such a wonderful group of people. And I miss it. I think we all do. We miss being on set, you know, and I remember when we did the wrap party in the Henson like courtyard area at the last day, and that night we did in the courtyard there. It was, you know, right before Christmas of 2019, and I went up to Brian Henson, because Brian Henson's one of the executive producers. And I interacted with him a good amount, but I was more interacting with Allison Berkeley and Joseph Freed, who were the other two, especially Allison, who were the executive producers. They're great. But I worked with Brian and talked to him, you know, a lot, but not as closely. And I went up to him afterwards at the wrap party. I said, you know, I just want to tell you this has been a wonderful experience, and I was honored to do this. I can't wait for season 2, and you know all that. And he goes, "Oh, okay. Oh, Scott, yeah, you did such a great job. I think you're wonderful." And he gave me a hug,
Oh,
And
wow.
I was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
hey, this is how this should have ended. Yeah. Yeah. This is what I need. And I like walked
That's
out.
amazing. I'm jealous. Sorry, you got hugged by Brian Henson. Sorry. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's super nice. And the thing is like when you're in the throes of making a show, especially one that was as challenging as this one, you know, everyone was just doing their best to like just get it done. But I mean, there were really some great people.
That's awesome. Now,
That is fantastic.
Scott, you sent us some behind the scenes photos. If you don't mind, can I pull those up? We can look at them together. So Jerry hasn't seen a couple of these, but these are amazing. So let me make sure the screen is shared. Here we go.
I'm excited.
We've got a footage of you and Ned himself, which is amazing.
Really glad I'm not wearing the same shirt.
It's like, Scott, do you only have one shirt? What's going on, man? No, I'm just playing. You're like a cartoon character with a closet full of the
Disney
same shirt.
sweatshirt. You can't really tell.
Right. Real quick, the character design of just all of these. Jim Henson has always had amazing character design, but the character design of Ned and Cornelius is amazing. I can't wait to see. We can keep scrolling through and stuff, but that is
this one right here.
What a selfie!
This one right here.
What a selfie! That's all I got to say. Okay, you sent me this one when we were first kind of talking about you coming on the show. This, I am very jealous. That is incredible. Was this? May I ask? Was this like an actual like one used on like the set from Lucasfilm, or was this? Like
yes.
A droid builders.
No,
wow.
this is
still my heart.
Yeah, that's him. That's BB-8.
That is amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if you know this. There is a guy whose job, it says it on his business card, that
Brian.
his job is to operate BB-8. That's what he does.
Yep.
Brian Herring, right?
Yeah, I think it was. Yes, I think that's right. I'm the worst with it.
He's a big on Star Wars Twitter. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my god,
fantastic.
He
seems like a sweetheart.
So for that episode, because I did the Star Wars episode, I greet as a producer, you greet every guest and like whatever, and I was like, I guess I got to greet BB-8 too, and but they constructed it. They constructed him or put him together. We built like a tent area, basically, like drapes that would come down so they could do it in secret, like how he was constructed, and it was amazing what these guys do, and like I didn't know that he had like there's like 16,000 different like beeps. Or something like that.
Oh my goodness!
It's unbelievable.
Really?
He does it in real time.
Right.
There's like one that you can tell where he's going to set, or he's like, it's really really neat. But the interaction, and I don't think anyone was as excited for any other guest as that one.
Wow!
Oh my goodness!
It's a testament.
Well, and especially you have I'm kind of thinking like that. It was him because Brian Herring is BB-8 essentially, right? Like that is it's which of course you got him. That's just I don't know why. It's just like you think like we go to Celebration and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I saw a BB-8 and it's mind blowing when you see these people who passionately that's their passion is they build these things
and they're
in their spare time.
Years.
Yes, and it is like there was a radio controlled BB-8 that was rolling around and stuff that was just amazing and stuff. But just to think that this is that's BB-8 right there.
Oh yeah,
is just I again all the jealousy, but I love you, Scott. So I'm not going to make too much of a deal about it.
I took the picture and I remember thinking like because there's Brian Henson. I think you can barely see him on the right, and then you've got Ned. Obviously,
okay.
And Betty's not on screen right now. You see the woman in the red in the mid, like in the back, in the far. No, to the right, red hat. Sorry.
Right back up against the blue wall.
That's Morgana, and she is inside. She controls the body of Ned.
Right.
And then you've got Anna down here, who is our stage manager, and you just have such an incredible ensemble in terms of cast and crew, but. And then there's Roaster Toaster, who is voiced by our
Roaster Toast
head writer Eliza Skinner.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, that was a good moment.
Good.
And I mean, I think that because it's a Disney Plus original series and because it's a Star Wars episode, we, of course they had to have like the real thing, and they had to have like the real puppeteer, and all of that. And it wasn't just in terms of that. Like, there's a quick moment in the episode where there's a lightsaber fight.
Oh yeah, between the two claws.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that part. I love that so much. The whole where they say, "Hey, stop," and then. Sorry, I can't gush about this episode.
It was great.
I seriously can't.
I realized I kind of, it was an interesting moment because we got a call from Lucasfilm saying like, yeah, okay, so that needs to be to spec. Like it needs to like the lightsabers need. It can't be like, oh, we're just gonna have like two, because the Jim Henson art department was making it, so they were pretty good, but they had to be exact replicas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, and they're little, and we're like, it's gonna be like 20 seconds. It's like
it's one of the best recreations. Honestly, the best recreations of that scene, like comically, I've ever seen. Like I love it so much. I seriously love it so much.
They did really well with that. But I remember thinking like, you're not even gonna be able to tell. And but I mean, you do see it a little bit. But luckily. I didn't take too much from the set, but one of the, I won't say who, gave me one of the lightsabers.
Nice.
So I have it.
Gosh.
Yeah, so that's what
Claude lightsaber.
That was my my Claude lightsaber is the thing that I was proud of. It lights up and everything.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
One thing I got to talk about Claude.
I love the Claudes. So yeah. The Claudes are amazing.
That is so our aesthetic in terms of the show. So like
we are into all the weird things about Star Wars and everything for sure. So the Claude.
Yeah, so like Claude in particular, whenever he gets like, oh, who is this? And he's like, oh, don't look him in the eye. That always made me laugh so hard, man.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me want to have a Claude on our show.
Everybody does that. Disney really needs to. We gotta like get merchandise out there.
For real.
We'll blast it out for you. Yeah, we need more Claude merchandise, guys. Come on.
Everybody wants a Ned mug and a Claude.
Yeah, so like to me, Ned is someone that you would find in Tomorrowland as well. I'm surprised they haven't pushed it.
Everybody was talking about this. Yes,
it does. No, seriously, it does. It feels like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
you can have this ode stage.
We'll see if I'll show you guys later, but we were our Nerd to Dead posters up at Disneyland in the in between California Adventure and Disneyland, I think. Yeah.
Oh wow.
And it's so neat. I don't know why, but that I sent it to our executive producer because someone had taken a picture of it. The reviews are nice and everything like that, and like it's good to be on the platform. But it was like, I don't know, there was like the kid in me was like, oh. The show that I did is at Disneyland and
man.
Yeah. That's tremendous. And like the next picture I'm going to show is a pretty cool. Do you collect any Funko Pops? I wanted to ask this before we go into the next image. It was just a one-off Funko Pop.
Yes. So I got a couple of those.
Oh my God! Look at that.
And
that is incredible.
Yes.
Is Andy still in the chat? We have our collector show. Andy and Josh from Holo Chronicles. One of them's in the chat. They're probably salivating right now.
So I didn't know if we were going to do something, because sometimes you get things like props or whatever that, and just in case. And because we were going through different ideas of what we were going to do for that episode, and one of the thoughts that I had on it was sort of like him commenting on his figurines and whatnot, and so I got the bobblehead one, but I also got the like the legit one, like the original, like his character, and we ended up not using them, so I got them signed, and it was a neat moment.
Oh, how cool is that? And Billy D always seems like kind of like Larry King. I don't know. I mean, him obviously better than we do, but like he seems just really himself. And the interview that Ned had with him was just like, I just want to play Lando. I wouldn't play anyone else besides Lando. I'm like,
it's like
so
Scotty
good.
when we saw him on the episode 9 panel at Celebration. It's the same.
Yep.
He's Lando and him. There's no separation, and he's just he's part of a guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, where does it begin? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you got another picture for us right here. It's a behind the scenes picture. It appears of you with your feet propped up, getting some work done. And so what is that? What do we? So I think what it appears to be is the back of the stage right there, right? Am I assuming that?
Yeah.
correct?
So that is that's an area that it's sort of like up in the wings. This is backstage, like the back.
Okay.
You want to call it not the backstage. It's sort of you walk into the studio. Go to the right, you go upstairs, and we had a control booth. We kind of had to build out, and then also that like wing up there, which is where like agents, managers, publicists, or executives from Disney or whatever could sit. And I would oftentimes, because a lot of the job was just writing questions.
Yeah.
And I would go up there just to think, the better. And this was before the set was fully built, and it is unbelievable what they did when you look at the final, product and where it started, where it was just an empty room, and then what ended up being built is just incredible.
Oh, it's so awesome.
That is,
and our designer Darcy, her set was just nuts.
Oh, it's gorgeous,
Oh my
we got a
goodness,
picture
that's so amazing.
of Ned actually being. I don't know if it's just one of the heads to like test the actual puppeteering, but it's a great image.
Yeah, so that mouth moves with, so they both move. So the one on the body of the Ned that's being used on stage, and that also they move at the same time. So basically, Paul, who's the one on the left, who's got the mic in front of him, Paul Rugg he's the voice actor, and he's got his hand inside, like I said, that sock puppet. And so he can watch himself talk.
Oh,
wow.
My goodness, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and then the gentleman on the right, he is doing other like motions of the head.
Yeah.
It's so intricate.
This is incredible.
Yeah,
because it makes so much sense, because if he can't see right on, you want to see if you're doing it correctly.
Yeah.
And such.
Yeah.
And, like when you first mentioned it, the sock puppet, I'm like someone in there with Morgana, like moving the mouth and she's moving the body, which would not work at all.
No. There's a ton of motors in his head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that is just absolutely mind blowing.
It really is, just to kind of see
it's genius. It's genius, honestly.
It is genius. And like you said, Scott, I mean, this is probably the most complex puppet they've put together, number one. But also in terms of personality, yes, we know Jim Henson's been known to make very personable characters. I mean, Kermit obviously is one of the ones that have changed the entire culture of this world. And like,
I was just doing all of the Muppet voices with my kid, honestly. Right
exactly. So like that's
hi ho there.
I have so much. Oh, that's pretty good.
Thank you. That was what I was known for before I was in a podcast.
Oh my god, that's
Kermit the Frog here.
Yeah, I have so many pictures with Kermit. It's nuts.
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
Oh my gosh. I seriously could. Kermit is like my spirit. I'm like, oh, hi there. Hi ho there, guys. Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
So we also, I got a picture right here of Brian Henson's actual chair. So
man.
Yeah.
I love a
sick
director's
writing
chair.
too. That's awesome.
That's usually where I would sit.
And
wow.
Yeah.
That's so
cool. Yeah. That's Video Village, we call it.
Yeah, as I've heard that term before.
That's amazing.
Oh, it's just wild. I don't know. There's a couple more images. Let me get them pulled up.
I've never been more interested in a shot of just chairs, honestly.
And let me tell you something. So not only are there 5 or 6 people operating Ned, but the head writer has a headset on and is talking to our voice actor, that's Paul doing Ned, to say, oh, let's move on from this question, or make sure you ask this, or like we'll give him material in the moment. Wow. So it's like they're just everybody's like it's all happening at once.
God, it's wild. So
it's incredible.
One of my favorite guests, and probably one of my favorite people ever, is Reggie Watts. I just wanted to ask about him real quick.
There's so much in there. Yeah,
no, it's all good. With Reggie,
I did that a second ago. No worries.
What was his interactions like? Was he really like fully himself, like he was? Because all of his Instagram videos are like he just seems like the same person too.
He is. Well, I've known about him like on a different level because two of the people that I worked with, one who was a girl who was an intern at Larry King,
Okay.
and another young woman who was a talent coordinator at Larry King. They went on to become producers at the Late Late Show. And so I had heard, good things about him and whatnot. And I'd also produced Reggie at Larry King for an episode,
Awesome.
for an interview. And then, but it was years earlier,
Right.
And Allison, our executive producer, Allison was saying that the genius idea, we should do something with these like make 'em up songs that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh my gosh, it was so good.
Yeah, so and like beam in the equipment, and it was great. And his song that he did was 150% improvised, and he just did it right there.
Oh.
And I remember thinking like, that's kind of a dope song. Like that is a really good space song.
Yeah.
It worked out really well.
Yep, got a picture of him pulled up right there. Who did the slugs bit? Because the slugs thing was hilarious.
That's what I was going to bring up, Scotty. That's what I was going to bring up because I love that they started, Star Wars, but then like, we're talking about slugs today. He comes on with the slug shirt before he goes like, we should have him back on to talk about slugs. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Brilliant Jim Henson. That is the Jim Henson. Yeah,
because he's not like known. He's not like a Star Wars actor or whatever. But
right.
And the thing is that I was a little skeptical about having a non-Star Wars person for the Star Wars episode because I know how fanatical some of their fans are.
Yeah.
And you know what? It turned, and Allison, our executive producer, she was smart and like she was right, and we needed a fan. And
it's good to have that perspective for sure.
Yes, it was, and it turned out to be so good. Because we had BB-8, we had Reggie, and then we also had Billy D. Williams, which is a big deal because it was head of that. And so he was very, very good. He was just he was a pro, and he was fun, and he was affable, and he was and the whole thing with, by the way, when he was talking about Boyega, like with the claws.
Oh, that was so good.
So that was the first time that the claws had ever said a word. Was
wow.
Boyega.
Really?
Yeah.
Boyega. That was like one of the best. Like I loved that bit because I've only seen him on like just a few things here and there. I don't follow him like on Instagram or anything like Scotty, but seriously, just like I love that quirky sense of humor and stuff, and just that,
he's great.
That's like our aesthetic, obviously.
Yeah,
he's a legend.
It's so fun. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I just love the idea of him coming on, and like I know he's a goofy guy too, but just like coming on and doing his thing, and it's just exactly how I predicted him to be. It's so awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and he's a good episode.
I'm gonna. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to pull a picture of Claude real quick, just so everyone can get a visualization for it. And if you haven't watched Earth to Ned yet, I know Scott will be the first one to tell you. Go like once this is done.
All of you guys in the chat, go watch the first step. Go binge, man. Seriously, I'm honestly not done with it yet, but it is so like it's so good. It's good.
Hilarious.
I love some Cornelius, man. Cornelius is amazing.
Okay,
I love how he ribs like Ned and stuff like I work here. This is so good. It's so
Michael, the voice actor is Michael. He's inside of Cornelius, and he both for the field shoots and on stage, and he is a
oh my goodness
massive Star Wars fan. Like we're talking about like
oh my gosh.
He knows because when we did that whole, I think it was we did a quiz with Gina Carano on like what you know about the Star Wars universe. And
right.
He just came up with like the most obscure things. He knows everything about it. He is so stoked about Star Wars. He's
awesome.
He's a true blue fan. And actually, so was the writer for that episode, Adam Stein, the main writer. He's a massive Star Wars fan too. But yeah, those guys like it was good having those guys like involved in that episode because I like Star Wars and everything, and I've become a much bigger fan as time has gone on. But they know everything, and they
right.
You know, and so they were very, very excited.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I got one more
goodness.
BTS thing I want to share with the viewers, and thank you everyone that's been here and been chilling in the live chat with us. I'm sorry I haven't given you all that as much attention
so much.
this episode, but Scott has got some tremendous stories. So I'm going to show a video that Scott sent to us of BB-8 interacting with Ned. Now this is obviously before editing, and this is on the soundstage in the moment. So give me a second. Let me get this pulled up. So, it's so cool. All right. I don't know if there's going to be any audio.
Amazing.
Not that it matters, but I just want to show everyone the footage of it. Oh, you can hear it. Hold on. Let me see if I can get the audio shared. Give me 1 second. So
Get that up there. Yeah.
Oh man, here we go. It's just so cool because this seems like a daydream. Like it really this interaction with BB-8, how he is really, the puppet 100%. Someone's doing the job there. I couldn't imagine.
No, it was amazing. And I said this after when the show premiered on Disney Plus.
Okay.
A bunch of us, the writers and the producers, we got on a Zoom.
Yeah.
Obviously, because and
right.
we all and we had, some of us had talked some but it was like the first time we'd all kind of been together since like December, January, and we were all just reminiscing about it and talking about it. And one of the things that I said is every time that I was there, every time I went into work, every time I was on set, even when days when I was stressed or busy or felt like I wasn't doing well, I never took for granted what I was doing, because I knew like you're very lucky, you're very fortunate to be working on something like this, because it was magical. It did feel magical. Some people like have said like when you're on a set, it kind of takes away the magic of like what you see on film or you see on the screen. And for this, it was almost like I feel like he was even more so in person.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, look, I'm gonna get everyone's faces pulled up. We can watch this video live together. I haven't watched any of this yet. This looks
I only
so
feel
cool.
comfortable with you showing this because other people have showed their videos. So.
Okay, good.
right.
Don't want to come after Scott. He's our friend. Come on now. Here we go. Some good BTS right here. Let's see it.
Thank you.
How cool is that, dude? Scott, that is amazing.
Honestly, I don't know if any Star Wars fans in the chat knew. You said how many beeps does he have?
I think it was like 16,000 or something like that.
Okay, I don't think that. I think that's like breaking news for some Star Wars fans, because some people are like, that's a lot of beeps.
God.
Well, I mean, well, you know what? We'll beep or whatever. We'll beep it out. Yeah, there you
We'll
go.
just embellish
No,
it.
it's fine. I'm sure that's out there. But
Right.
I'm shocked to know that. Like,
It's just Star Wars fans just love. We love numbers, and so that's just we're big numbers people.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I want to say before we end this whole, because this has been a wonderful conversation. Scott, you are a tremendous guest. My God, I hope everyone.
You honestly are probably one of the biggest guests we've had on yet, and you, sir, are just a fantastic. Bro, I've had fun hanging out with you, man.
Yeah. Oh, Scott, if you feel generous, then by all means, get us some good connects.
Oh my God, we gotta get Cornelius on here.
Oh my gosh, we would love that. Seriously, Scott, we would love to have you back on someday too, just to hang out.
I'd love that,
man. I'm serious.
I'm going to ask Adam Stein and Michael if they, who plays Cornelius. I'm going to ask them if they want to. I'm sure Michael would want to come on.
Perfect. Oh, absolutely, dude. We would gladly. Seriously, let's push Earth to Ned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would be amazing. Yeah,
we seriously would just absolutely love that.
Oh,
Seriously.
dude. Well, it's been a pleasure. I know. I don't know if you want to plug anything before we sign off this evening, but Scott, where can people find you in particular? Where can people find you?
They can find me on Twitter if they don't
Okay.
care about politics. And that's just my name at Scott Stenholm. And then, everybody watch Earth tonight. It's great.
Perfect.
Hey,
Perfect.
the LA Times that is one of the 10 best TV shows of 2020, and they're never wrong.
Just go watch Earth to Ned and lift your glass in honor of Scott, seriously, and all the hard work you put into it, because it's amazing. It seriously is amazing, man. And thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to just hang out with us tonight, man. Seriously. Oh man, your stories, your Larry King stories alone were worth the price of admission for these people. I mean, it's amazing. So thank you so much, man. Seriously, for
My pleasure.
We seriously appreciate it.
Great.
You're part of the Bombadcast fam now, and we're gonna get real weird for a second. Jerry, who is our ad for the night? We didn't get to do it earlier. Who is our current ad right now?
That's okay,
for the
because they're still our
Bombadcast?
sponsors. They're still our sponsors. So let's bring them up, Scotty. Bring up who's our first sponsor of the night. Yes, we have again from last week, the Book of Boca Fett. Yes, meat's no good to me dead. This again coming very soon to a bookstore near your. A bookstore near you. It is not a book made of Boca, but you have Boca burger sliders and other meatless recipes. Again, check out the Book of Boca Fett. Meat's no good to me dead.
Oh, that's amazing.
And of course, oh my gosh, not Cookie Cup. Take Cookie Cup away. And then we have, of course, McClunky Dry Whiskey, number 1138. Yes, McClunky Dry. It always goes down smooth. And of course, you got to remember their wonderful, wonderful catchphrase: shots first, ask questions later.
So stupid. Oh, well, this has been an absolute joy. Jerry, a wonderful plug as always. One thing I always have to throw out there, of course, is this gif of Paul Stanley. That's new. This other gif of
from
Paul
a Folgers
Stanley
commercial. You're
That's
welcome,
also-
Scotty. I know I helped you. We discovered those this weekend and stuff. Paul Stanley's. We love Paul Stanley.
So, if y'all enjoyed this, anyone listening or watching currently, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, share it with your people. If they haven't seen Earth and Ed, by all means, do yourself a huge favor.
What are you doing?
On it.
Go
Get
right
on
now.
it.
It's so good. It's look
It's
at him.
not just for
look
kids.
at that angel.
No, like we talked about. I want to say that. Reiterate that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Go off.
So before we talked, I asked Scott, I said, you, with this show, have hit three important things. It's for adults, it's for teenagers, and it's for kids. Now, that is a huge, I guess,
Absolutely
goal to
massive
hit.
demographic.
Oh, it's incredible. It's perfect. It's for everyone. And the show is not for kids. It may seem like it at first. Get into it.
I mean, I think families could watch it together,
Yeah,
but it's fun. Yeah.
The kids will
It's
like
just
the
family
puppets
fun.
and the movement and the colors and all that,
Yeah.
but like the dialogue will go over their head.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's classic Jim Henson. Honestly.
Oh, it's so
it really
good.
is. Truly is.
Well, usually, Scott, at the end of every episode, our wonderful guest has to say the catchphrase of our show, which is "Stay Bombad." Scott, do us the favor of ending tonight's show.
Stay Bombad. All right, I'm gonna do it like Larry would do it.
Okay. Oh,
Go for
yes.
Like try to channel him. Stay Bombad. Is that good?
All right, man. Stay Bombad. Peace.
You shall all bomb that.